We've all been there, right? You set that alarm for an early workout, you promise yourself you're going to start that big project, or you decide, okay, this is the week I finally eat healthier. And then, well, life happens. That snooze button is just too easy to hit, procrastination wins another round, and the thought of takeout is just way too tempting. So today, we're going to tackle that universal challenge head on and really get into the science of discipline. So, our first section, it gets right to the heart of it all, that daily tug of war between our best intentions and what we actually end up doing. It's a battle that's fought in all these tiny little moments, every single day. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We often know exactly what we need to do to make our lives better. I mean, the knowledge is there, maybe we even have a plan. So, why is there this huge gap between knowing the path and actually walking it? Well, this explainer is all about bridging that very gap. Okay, so to make sure we're all on the same page, let's start with a really solid definition. This one, it's drawn from a military perspective, and it just cuts right to the chase. It's not about feeling motivated, it's not about waiting for inspiration to strike. Discipline is simply your ability to act no matter how you're feeling. It's about overriding that little voice in your head that says, I'll just do it later. So we know what discipline is, but why does it matter so much? Well, it turns out that this one skill is connected to our long-term success in life more than almost anything else. It's a really big deal. To really understand how important it is, we've got to look at the incredible Dundee study. Now get this. Researchers in New Zealand followed 1,000 people for 4 decades. We're talking from the moment they were born all the way into their late 30s. And the whole goal was to figure out what the key predictors of a successful life really were. And what they found was just stunning. Now, I know this slide might look like something out of a dense science journal, but the takeaway is incredibly clear and powerful. The kids who showed more self-control early on in life, they grew up to be healthier, and they grew up to be wealthier as adults. And this wasn't some small thing. It was true no matter what a kid's IQ was or what their family's social class was. Self-control was the key. But here's the most powerful part of the entire study, the part that should give every single one of us hope. Self-control isn't something you're just born with, like your eye color. The research showed that things like IQ, they tend to stay pretty stable your whole life. But self-control, it's way more flexible. So the crucial point here is, it's a skill. And just like any skill, whether it's learning guitar or playing a sport, you can practice it, you can develop it, and you can get stronger at it over time. And that brings us to the big question, how? How do you actually build it? Because knowing it's important is one thing, but developing it is something else entirely. So in this section, we're going to break down 3 really powerful, actionable frameworks you can start using pretty much right away. Okay, our first framework comes from James Clear's incredible work on Atomic Habits. The main idea here is to stop trying to rely on motivation because, let's face it, that comes and goes. Instead, you build reliable systems. It's all about making tiny little changes that add up over time into some pretty amazing results. So here's how it works. First, you start ridiculously small. I mean, so small you can't possibly say no. You want to read more? Start with 1 page a day. That's it. Second, use something called habit stacking. You link your new tiny habit to something you already do without thinking. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will read 1 page. See? Easy. Third, you track your progress. The goal is just to build a streak. Don't break the chain. And finally, you design your environment to help you win. If you want to read more, just leave a book on your pillow. You want to make the good choice the easy choice. Now, if that whole tiny habits thing feels a little too small scale, our second framework gives you a totally different way to look at it. This one is drawn from the super-structured world of the military, and it focuses less on individual habits and more on creating a clear, solid structure for your entire day. The tactics here are really straightforward, but they're so effective. It all starts with creating a daily schedule, and then prioritizing your most important tasks so you tackle those first thing. Then, you use time blocking. You assign specific chunks of your day to specific activities, and during those blocks, you ruthlessly eliminate distractions. Phone on silent, close those extra tabs, you know the drill. And finally, you practice punctuality. Just showing up on time, or even a little early, it's a simple but really powerful act of self-discipline. All right, so our first 2 frameworks were all about structuring your actions out in the real world. This one moves from the external world to the internal battlefield, your own mind. It's inspired by Stoic philosophy and thinkers like the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and it's all about mastering how you see things and how you respond to them. This quote,
It just perfectly captures what Stoic discipline is all about. Look, the world is always going to throw challenges, distractions, and frustrations at you. You can't control any of that. But what you can always control is how you choose to interpret and respond to those things. Real strength, real discipline. It doesn't come from controlling the world around you, it comes from mastering your own mind.
So let's bring all of this together. For a lot of people, the word discipline just sounds negative. It makes you think of restriction, of being rigid, of punishment. But everything we've looked at today suggests a completely different and, frankly, a much more powerful way to see it. Just look at this comparison. The common view sees discipline as this restrictive cage. But what if we reframe it as true freedom? It's the freedom from your own impulses, the freedom to choose your actions on purpose, instead of just being a slave to every passing desire. It's not about being rigid, it's about having the power to make conscious choices that actually align up with your long-term goals. Without discipline, you're just reacting to whatever craving is screaming the loudest. With it, you get to be the architect of your own life. So, we end with this question for you. Forget about some grand, sweeping resolution. Just thinking back to that idea of atomic habits. What is the one tiny, almost effortless thing you could commit to doing every single day, starting today? Because as we've seen, it's not the big, heroic effort that builds a successful life. It's the quiet, consistent power of daily discipline. So, what's your one thing going to be?